Hola, buenos dias, and welcome to my channel, What You Cooking Good Looking. I'm Justin, and today I have one of my favorite dishes for you, which we call Spanish tortilla. And it's quite different than a Mexican tortilla. In the States, you probably are only accustomed to the Mexican version, and which they're not even related, right? Mexican tortilla is basically like a corn pancake in a way. Very bad description. But if you're completely ignorant on what a Mexican tortilla, it's like a very thin thing, like a wrap. And a Spanish tortilla is more like an omelet. Sometimes on menus here in Spain, in the English part, it'll say Spanish omelet. So it's a little different though. It is made with eggs, but it doesn't have the same texture or even look of an omelet, so I don't like to call it that. But it consists of 3 ingredients: eggs, obviously, and potatoes and onions. Without the onion, it would be a tortilla de patatas, so like a potato omelet, and that's not the same as a Spanish omelet. And sometimes you can add a 4th ingredient if you feel like it, but that's not necessarily traditional, but it's still quite good. So here I've got some Spanish chorizo. Often add it, but also I like it just as much without the chorizo. So usually just if I have chorizo left over, I'll use it. But if I don't, then no big deal because it's good either way. So really very simple. You just cut the ingredients and cook them together, right? So you start by frying the potatoes into thin little cuts, and then you do the same thing with the onions. Then you put it into an egg mixture, you let it sit for a little bit, and then you go ahead and cook it again. And so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by cutting the potatoes. Okay, so now that I've cut the onion, I'm crying. And it's not for any other reasons. So yeah, now we're gonna take the potatoes and we're gonna go over here with our olive oil. And so this is an induction stovetop, so it doesn't take long at all to heat up. And usually you would more or less deep fry these. You would fry them with a lot more oil, but I think it's a bit of a waste, and I don't feel like straining it and saving the leftover oil, so I use less oil. I basically saute them, which is not the way you do it, and if any Spaniards are watching this, perdóname, lo siento, I prefer to do it this way. It's quick and simple, it's just as good. And I know they would have my head because it's not traditional, and especially in Europe, the traditional ways are the traditional ways. And if you tamper with their gastronomy, their cuisine, they usually don't like it. They come out with pitchforks, they protest. It's like the typical stuff you see on the news. That's what they do if you just kind of screw up a dish. So, yeah, if you're watching this and you're Spanish, I'm sorry. You shouldn't be watching me anyways because you should know how to make a Spanish tortilla. This is much easier though. You'll see. I've made them in the past. I used to make them the traditional way. I would save the leftover oil. I'd strain it, but it's pesado. Like it's as we say, heavy. I don't feel like doing that, and it really does work this way. Okay. The potatoes are going to be a little crowded in here, so they kind of also cook from their own moisture. So it's not like I'm exactly frying it. It kind of cooks through steaming and through frying a bit. A light fry, a saute. But it's just easier and it still turns out just as good. So don't let them tell you that you can't do it this way. If you want to use a crap ton of oil, you can do that. You know, empty the bottle out, put it in here. fry them, dip them out, and you can go at it one by one. But, you know, I'm lazy, and being lazy, you find better ways of doing things to have more time for the things you like to do, like sitting on the sofa and doing nothing and drinking a glass of wine. And so that's usually how I come about things, trying to do things correctly, but in my own way. So you can do it however you like. So now this should be warm enough. You go ahead and take some of the potatoes. Woo! I'm gonna brown myself. So now our potatoes have cooled enough, and I'm just going to slowly add them to our egg mixture. But before I do that, I'm going to salt the egg mixture, okay? So be very generous with the salt. Some people salt their potatoes, but I really don't see the point in doing that. I'm just going to salt here the eggs. That should be enough. But be very generous with the salt, right? Think of how much salt they put on McDonald's fries. That's what makes them so good, right? So you need a good amount of salt to make this especially good. Just, I hope you don't have hypertension or something. So I'm just gonna slowly drop some of these in. Oh, we're gonna leave it for a little bit and let it soak up some of the egg as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn this on. And it heats up really quickly on the stove. And I'm just gonna cook a little bit the bottom and a little bit the sides. And then I'm going to pop it into the oven to just kind of cook the top. Let's go ahead and add it. I'm sure it's warm enough now. You need a good non-stick pan. If you don't have a non-stick pan, you can try it with other pans, but be sure to have your oil very hot. Perfect. So I'm just gonna let it slowly cook on the bottom. It'll cook a little bit more on the sides. It's cooked a little bit now on the bottom. We can see that a few bubbles have come through. So that lets me know that it's cooked a bit through. But like I said, I prefer mine to be a bit liquidy. And so I'm going to now take this and I'm going to put it in the oven. Let's clean that oven. And so the nice thing about my pans is the handle removes so easily, so I could just throw it in there. I'll leave it until I've seen that it's cooked on the top. Once it's completely cooked on the top, I'm going to take it out, and it will continue to cook as it rests, because there's going to be a lot of heat, and the heat's slowly going to reach the center. But hopefully not too much heat, because I don't want the center to be completely cooked. But it will continue to cook for quite a while after you've taken it out of the oven. Basically until you cut it, or until 30 minutes have passed. It'll continue to slowly cook and slowly inch forward. So we'll leave that in there for 5 minutes, and we'll check on it and we'll take it out when it's ready. Okay, so it's been in there for, I don't know, 7 minutes. I turned off the oven a couple of minutes ago because the oven's still warm, so it's gonna still cook it slowly. That way I don't waste too much energy, right? Think green. And so, yep. Maybe it's a little more done around the edges than I prefer, but I think it's good. You can touch it, see it's still a bit soft. That lets you know that it's not cooked all the way through. I'll leave it for 20 minutes, and then in 20 minutes we'll come back and see how it tastes. So now that it's cooled off enough to where I can touch it, I'm going to plate it. So Very simple, especially since this doesn't have handles. Boom, bada bing. And let's take a look. Voila. Your typical Spanish tortilla. So let's cut into it and let's see how it is. It's perfect. Very good. So it's not too eggy, even though, of course, there are many eggs. I don't know, I've used maybe 10 eggs in this. It doesn't taste eggy because of the ratio of potato, onion, and egg. So eggs are more there to bind it all together. I mean, it also does add to the flavor, but you don't want it to taste too eggy. I've had eggy tortillas before, and I don't think they're really good. So just make sure when you put the potatoes in a bowl, you just have enough scrambled egg to cover the mixture. And so just, you can still see the potatoes, right? You don't want to just see egg floating on top once you've mixed it. And that's the proper amount. And so it's nice and delicious. It's really good cold. I prefer mine cold, to be completely honest. I know I'm a bit weird, but it's good cold. It's good at room temperature. It's good hot. So, you know, if you have leftovers tomorrow morning, you've got your breakfast made. In Spain, they also eat it on sandwiches. So if you get like a baguette or, I don't know, some good sandwich bread, you can put it on there with some mayo. They love their mayo here in Spain. But it works just as well. So it's just another thing you can do with it. You could also maybe add, I don't know, a little bit of salsa if you want to make it a little spicy. You can add some Mexican salsa. So it's very versatile as well and very easy to make, as you've seen. So I hope you liked the video. If you did like the video, please subscribe to the channel and also hit the thumbs up button. And if you have any questions, just be sure to comment down below, and I'll see you next time, okay? Bye.